This episode of the Busted Wide Open podcast is brought to you by Blueberry. Blueberry offers the best media hosting, accurate listening stats, and their all-new PowerPress Deluxe sites. A no-setup WordPress website for your podcast with all the necessary links to share your show with the world built right in. If you currently produce a podcast and are looking for a better host, or if you're looking to start a new one from scratch, head over to orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO and sign up for the best media hosting and a PowerPress Deluxe site to get your first month absolutely free. That's orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO, or just use the promo code BWO at checkout for your first month absolutely free. And now, enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the only two-time PWG Battle of Los Angeles champion, King Ricochet, and you are listening to Busted Wide Open Podcast.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open Podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. Welcome back to the Busted Wide Open Podcast, but if this is your first time joining the show, I'd like to welcome you to episode number 200! My name is Nick Howell.
And wanting to tell Shayna Baszler that is not the way to get your daily allotment of Lucky Charms. I am Sir Ian Dangerous, and welcome to episode 200.
My God!
We made it to 200, Nick.
What?
200. And what's crazy to think is that's just 200 of the main show here. We've also had bonus episodes and mailbag episodes, so we've already passed doing 200 episodes. This is just number 200 of the main show. That's insane.
I counted. It's 248. But I'm not saying. I'm just saying. It's you know. But Jesus. Number 200. Oh my God.
Yeah. So we made it, and this is the time for me and for you, I think as well, to say congratulations to the real people who made this possible, and that's all of you guys listening to us out there. Thank you, and congratulations for joining us on this crazy adventure and journey that we've been on with this podcast. It's really funny to go back and listen to our early, double digit episodes, down around 10 or 20, and how far the show has come. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy how different it is now, in terms of location, in terms of pacing and style, in terms of how we write the show. It's insane. So. Yeah, what a crazy trip it has been so far, and we promise it's just getting started. And really, Nick, you just pointed out to me all of there was a few comments in our Busted Wide Open Facebook discussion group. Jesus Christ, my heart is full right now.
I was in the middle of doing customer presentations for my day job today when I started seeing those comments, and I was just like,
yeah,
talk amongst yourselves.
Amazing. Truly, I'm honored to be part of this community that has sprung up around this, and you guys are absolutely amazing. I love the love and the positivity that exists in there, and that's pretty much how I believe this community should be. Like the community in general should be. No sniping about who likes what product and what was good this week and what was awful, but it should just be about let's enjoy what's been good and figure out how the stuff that's not as good could be improved. So. Right. Again, thank you guys for joining us on this. And if you are new here, if this is your first time listening to our show, or if you just started picking up and listening to our show, Nick, tell them all about where they can join us up, and welcome, and thank you for joining us. And yeah, we're going to keep growing and getting bigger and better. So Nick, where can they find us?
The hub of everything. You can find all the links to all of our stuff wherever audio podcasts are found, but bwopodcast.com is our site with all of our links to all the Facebook and the Discord and the YouTube and the Patreons and all of that stuff. It's pretty much at BWO Podcast everywhere, but the big places you need to be in is Facebook. Just search for Busted Wide Open, like our page, and send us a join request to get into the discussion in the group with the rest of the phenomenal ones, and you'll find links in there to Discord, all kinds of good stuff, fun fun news stories, civil discussions around the art and the form of professional wrestling, as well as getting into the Discord for live chats all throughout the week for every show that's out there. And that's kind of the hidden secret of this community, is that we've got a Discord now where all the live chats happen all throughout the week. We've been doing our best to grow that. It's been growing a lot. So,
oh my God, I'm still remembering how fun the Rumble was in that chat. That was a blast.
Oh, the GIF spam is so good, and it's GIF, not GIF. You heard it here.
It's GIF. Stop
it's
it.
not. Anyway, at BWO Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, streaming live right here on YouTube at youtube.com/bustedwideopen every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern and every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, even when Nick is in London. We're going to do it. By God, we're going to do a show, even if I'm all the way around on the other side of the planet. We're going to do a show.
I'm going to be in Ireland during Double or Nothing. It's going to be a madhouse.
Oh,
so
God. We're going to have to figure something out, because I've got a trip to Berlin coming up sometime in March, and then...
What's wrong with us?
I don't know.
What's wrong with us?
We love wrestling. You know, it is what it is. And thankfully, and last but certainly not least, thank you to all of our patrons. You guys have made this possible. I have a very special surprise for you guys that I'll be posting later tonight on Patreon and in our Discord patrons chat. Hint, hint, wink, wink. So you guys can, I have a special note that I wanted to share with you guys that I might have typed up over the weekend. So anyway, just wanted to share something with you guys specifically, and thank you guys for all your support. If you'd like to get in on some of those exclusive rewards, it is patreon.com/BWO. Sign up for one of those awesome reward tiers. You can get access to the show notes of every episode, ability to ask listener questions for our patron mailbag episode that we also do on Saturdays after we're done with the main show. You can find all of those episodes right here on the YouTube channel, or that we put them up with our audio podcasts as well. Those of you that like them, thank you for sending in all your questions, patrons. And last but certainly not least, Ian, we have to give a special... Someone requested something special today.
Oh, yeah?
Edward. I forget his last name. Edward.
Yes, listener Edward Kirkland. That's right, yes.
Oh!
Not only is it our 200th episode...
Hang on.
Let
me find my cane.
Oh, sorry, yes.
He's Lordy. Edward's 40. Oh, God.
40 years old today. Oh, he's an old man now. Sorry, man. Your childhood is gone.
You're going to start getting a belly. Your teeth are going to fall out. Your knees aren't going to work the same anymore. Like, it's all downhill from here, brother.
I thought we were congratulating him, not giving him a horror story here. Yeah. Oh, Billy. You're 40
I
now.
always like to know how I'm... Like, if I could know how and when I was going to die, I would love to know that. So I'm just...
Okay,
I'm not talking about Edward. I'm not talking about Edward dying.
What the hell?
Happy 40th birthday, Edward. Sorry, I got a little morbid there for a second.
A little bit?
Yeah.
What was that?
I don't know.
Oh, we're trying to say happy birthday to the man. The poor guy's turning 40. That only happens once. It's a big one. Time to go get a Porsche. And...
You need one of those canes with a little honker on it so people can hear you coming. So get out of the way.
God. People can hear you walking down the street, Nick.
It's also a requirement that you forget how to use your turn signals and never stay in your lane when you're driving.
Is this what happened when you turned 40? These are all the things that you did? You got your little honky cane and your turn signnsigns?
I mean, I drove a Beamer, so I didn't have my turn signals anyway. They don't even install them on BMWs anymore.
So I'm sorry, your Beamer, Nick.
I'm sorry, that was a weird flex, but that was not. I wasn't trying to do that. I was just trying to make a turn signal joke about BMW drivers. I don't have it anymore, okay? I got rid of it.
No. Now I drive a Lexus. Yes. Daddy got himself a Jaguar. Yes. Okay, happy birthday, Edward.
Right.
Happy freaking birthday.
You asked for it.
Happy 200th anniversary or 200th show to us. And thank you all for joining us. And by God, Nick, let's get into the show. There's stuff to talk about. We got to talk about wrestling.
Yes.
Come on. What are we here for?
Before we talk about wrestling, though, we've got to start with the big news. WrestleMania's coming to L.A.
Yeah, Nick, that is the big news. It was announced this week that WrestleMania 2021 will be coming to Los Angeles, sunny Southern California, right down the street from where I live at the new SoFi Stadium down in Inglewood.
I love that they're not even done with that thing yet. And they got the Olympics booked there. They got 2 pro football teams there. They got the Super Bowl. And now we've got WrestleMania. It's not even done yet.
And what's interesting is initially WWE wanted it to be in 2022, and they wanted to come in late March, early April, basically after the Super Bowl. And the reason was WWE wanted to break the attendance record of the Super Bowl and have that be a little feather in their cap. And SoFi was like, nah, you guys are going to be essentially our tryout for the Olympics and the Super Bowl. Like, so the SoFi Stadium did a flex on WWE.
All right.
And was like, you guys are coming in 2021. So
just bring it.
Just bring it. So yeah, already that's a very big deal. SoFi Stadium is supposed to open this summer and be ready for the next football season, allegedly. But we know how these things go. We've already had people literally die building the damn thing. And this weekend, Roman Reigns and Becky Lynch were down here in LA to celebrate the fact that they made this announcement. They had their picture taken in the half completed stadium. So yeah, it went Triple H and Stephanie too. So yeah, it's official. It will be, and not only that, it's going to be SmackDown. So let's see. I'm trying to remember what's where.
Friday Night SmackDown at Staples.
Friday Night SmackDown at Staples. Saturday NXT Takeover is going to be not Staples. It's somewhere else.
I don't know.
Lost my note on it. But while I find that, yeah, you also have Raw at Staples then on Monday. And the Hall of Fame ceremony is going to be at the convention center.
Right.
So that means, Nick, is in addition to all of this, all of that crazy indie wrestling is coming to LA too, hypothetically. So it's going to be an absolute madhouse here.
They just probably won't be at the Reseda American Legion. I guess you never know. Oh my God, Abraham Castillo with the $20 in the tip jar.
Oh my God.
Dude, thank you. Holy
thank you,
smokes. Oh.
Wow. That's awesome.
Sorry, that caught me off guard. I reacted there. I'm a little wound up today, guys. It's 200 episodes.
You had
so who's Roman gonna beat at that WrestleMania? Is the question.
That is the question, and Roman actually tweeted about that because guess who he's pitching now to be his opponent at that WrestleMania?
Seth Rollins.
His cousin, The Rock.
What?
Yeah.
Huh.
So that is the so far that is the pitch, is Rock versus Roman WrestleMania 2021, and I gotta say, if you're gonna have Roman versus someone at WrestleMania, you have my attention.
I mean, that's one way to put him over is just have Rock lay down for him.
I don't. Is Rock gonna lay down for Roman? That might be the big problem with this. Is who's laying down in that match? Who's? Come on.
Is it going to be feasible that I guess, yeah, he's beaten Brock Lesnar, so I guess it's feasible that he could beat somebody that's as jacked as The Rock is now.
I don't know. I think Rock is one person he'd let pin him. He doesn't mind looking at lights for Rock. I did just confirm NXT TakeOver will be at Staples Centers as well. So a lot of stuff happening at Staples.
Yeah.
And
Raw probably will be the following night as well too.
Yes, all three are at Staples. So anyway, if you are on the West Coast, near the West Coast, or like to come to the West Coast, then get prepared. Tickets are probably going to be released in the fall when they usually get released. And yeah, we've seen it already happening for Tampa with more and more stuff, like crazy big stuff getting announced. It's going to be like that next year, just for right here in Los Angeles. That is the big news, Nick.
All right. Well, thank you, Zuri and Davis. Now let's get into some graps, and we'll head over and we'll kick things off with Monday Night Raw. Oh, yeah.
You know, Nick, it's funny. I actually was just thinking about something else about LA. The last time WrestleMania was here, I believe, was back in 2005, and they called it Wrestling or WWE Goes Hollywood, and they had a whole bunch of trailers of like the wrestlers pretending that they were in movies. How cool would it be for them? If you haven't seen that, I'll post it in the group. But how cool would it be for them to do that? Again, they had like the Undertaker's Dirty Harry and that kind of thing. Like that, there's a lot they could do with this that would be really, really fun.
I don't know. With as snarky as the crowd is nowadays, it'd probably be like, "Oh, that's stupid. Oh God, why they made him into movie stars?"
I think it would be funny as hell, and especially like with Miz, they could definitely do some real ones, or they could do a really fun Twilight spoof with Shayna Baszler. Because this week, by God, we had Shayna Baszler showed up on Raw. I've been telling you all since last week she was coming out on Raw. And you know what? She came out on Raw.
My take on this is that Vince did this just to poke us because we all speculated and kind of I don't want to say knew, but we guessed that Shayna Baszler we all think that she should have won the Royal Rumble, and then they give it to us a couple weeks later and go, ha, see, man, I'm still not mad at it.
I think that I don't think that's the case. I think they wanted to give Charlotte a reason to go for the NXT title as opposed to one of the main titles. As opposed to it would have felt like a step down if Charlotte had lost the Rumble and then just gotten into a feud with Rhea Ripley. It would have felt like a lessening of Charlotte somehow. Whereas if she's the Royal Rumble winner and then she decides to go for the NXT title, it makes the NXT title look bigger. It keeps Charlotte looking big. So I think that was actually the right choice.
Yeah.
And also to have Shayna come out the way that she did here, I thought was also very effective. And that was Shayna looked like an absolute monster during the Rumble. She's also, won the women's triple threat at Survivor Series. And then after Becky had another spectacular match with Asuka on this show, beat her clean as a whistle with what looked like a rock bottom, Nick. And I'm wondering if that's her new finishing move, because if so, interesting choice. But yes, another great match between Asuka and Becky. Might be their second best match they've ever had, I think, behind the first Rumble match.
It was really good. Kyrie did well outside, too.
Yeah, Kyrie, their little dance. Like, Kyrie's priceless.
Yeah.
Like, we don't deserve her. She's amazing. But, Becky did win this one again. And as she was celebrating afterwards, Shayna comes out of nowhere, hits her from behind, pulls out her mouth guard. Shayna pulls out her own mouth guard, and then grabs the back of Becky's head and bites her neck until blood spurts out of Shayna's mouth. And she stood up with this blood pouring out of her mouth, and Becky screaming about how this bitch bit me. And Shayna stalks off, like just looking like there's blood all over her, which was freaking awesome. And we're left with Becky screaming about how Shayna's bitter. She is told she has to go to the hospital, shakes everybody off, and throws the ambulance driver out of the ambulance, drives her own ass to the hospital.
Stone Cold! Stone Cold! That's all I was doing the whole time with JR.
Yeah. And then she drives her ass back to the ring later in the show with a bandage on the back of her neck and apparently numbed up with some good drugs. Her words, not mine. And then says, all right, Shayna, you got my attention, but you better find me before I find you. Mwah. Mwah. All
Becky
of this.
316 is back, y'all. I'm just saying.
And so Nick, here's a couple of things I've got to ask you first, and then I've got a little something I got to throw out there for all y'all who weren't paying attention here. Good. Let's put the Asuka match aside. It was great. I don't mind that Asuka lost because she's been put out there as being an opponent, the only person who could beat Becky, and Becky's the top of the top. So Asuka, I think, is still protected, even though she lost here. She's going to go off and be a tag champ. That's fine. Shayna Baszler finally debuts, and this is how she debuts. She comes out, beats down Becky, bites her, blood everywhere, and leaves. What do you think of that, of the debut of Shayna Baszler on the main roster and the setup for her feud with Becky going to WrestleMania? How was this for you?
I'm not sure if the bite, like I immediately thought of who else has done that in the past. We've seen Gangrel do that. We've seen Moxley do that to Juice Robinson in last year. You know, is that going to become her thing? Because I don't know if I want that. I want it to be just more of a signal of how few Fs she gives. Right. And just what she's willing to do to make a statement. Right. I don't want it to be like a recurring signature thing that she does. She bites everybody that she faces, you know, like Asuka misting, right? I don't want it to be Shayna's thing, but for an Impact, holy shit, dude. You've got first you had my curiosity, now you have my attention.
It is a very impactful debut to have her do this.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that a lot of people I think missed, and I only picked up after Shayna Baszler tweeted this out. Do you remember Classy Freddie Blassie?
Not really.
Remember you remember him as probably as a manager more than as a wrestler, right?
Yeah, the name's ringing a bell. I just don't remember anything significant about it.
Here's what you have to remember about Classy Freddie Blassie is that back when he was a wrestler, he was one of the scariest guys to ever wrestle. He was, impeccably dressed and coiffed and everything, but at the same time, he would file down his teeth and bite his opponents. And one of his things was gnawing on his opponent's foreheads during matches. One of his nicknames was the Vampire. the very first thing that that the King Lawler said when Shayna started chewing on Becky's head was like, she's like some sort of vampire, right? So he calls out the nickname for Freddie Blassie while she does this. She tweets out a picture of Freddie Blassie. Blassie actually had a classic bunch of matches in Japan, including against Ricky Dozan. And one of the things he used to say was that he had caused 92 people to drop dead of heart attacks in Japanese audiences. And he said the only thing he regretted is he didn't make it to 100. He was one of the greatest heels of the time.
Wow.
And one of the things he did was bite people and draw blood with his teeth. This was a deliberate callback to one of the greatest heels of all time and one of the most hated men in history. You talk about Zbyszko getting stabbed. Dude, Blassie had acid thrown at him. He had something hit him in the head and caused loss of vision in one eye. Like, the crowds were ready to murder this guy.
Damn.
Like, genuinely murder this guy. So he was one of the most hated heels ever. And Shayna is now following in his footsteps.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is going to be her thing then, is what you're positing.
I hope that it doesn't become a regular thing. I hope this was just a little nod and they call back to this. Maybe have like one more bite along the road, but not like Asuka's missed where it's all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if you wanted to have it be a thing where every so often, she did such a great job of selling that like slow pull out of the mouth guard, right? And throwing it down, that every time she does that from now on, doesn't even matter if she locks in her teeth on Becky, but every time from now on, Shayna, in the middle of a match, the end of a match, whatever, or during a beatdown, pulls out that mouth guard, we're all going to go, oh God, she's going to bite her again. Right? They've set it up now.
I can just see the 28 months later poster with Shayna and her bloody face on it. Like rage virus,
30 days of night.
Right.
Just like blood. I'm sorry, baby. It was a heavy flow. But no, this is I think an angle they're taking with Shayna that on first look you go, wow, that's really extreme and not like Shayna and bizarre. But if you look at it in the context of wrestling history, it's a fantastic call.
Yeah, that is really good.
It really is awesome.
Line Drive in the chat said Heyman went deep in the Smark well to put Shayna over with that one.
You know what? Call a spade a spade. That's he may have gone deep, but it worked. I thought it was a lot of people. What all people were talking about was Shayna chomping on Becky, and everything from like jokes being made about it to people thinking it was a terrible idea. Shayna wouldn't do that. Not my Shayna. She does it now. All right.
Well, they might have also been listening to us and me complaining about, the Kirifuda clutch is getting a little boring, right?
Yeah. Great
well
job,
done,
Nick.
guys.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah.
Well, that is not. You can't say it's boring anymore. Good grief. But here's the question though, and there's two questions here, I guess, that I want to ask about that. So when they do the blood, and this might be nitpicking and being, I don't know, a little petty, but Vince a couple months back, I think it was the last quarter call, or maybe it was 2 quarters ago, where he said that AEW was a blood and guts company, and they did that's not what WWE is. And here you have someone biting someone else's neck until there's blood gushing everywhere. Is this WWE being hypocritical? Is this them changing their philosophy? What do you think this was? Or just they don't care?
Yeah, that's whatever.
Or that was just Vince talking.
The whims of a 73-year-old man on the day. He doesn't remember what he had for breakfast 2 weeks ago, much less what he said at a quarterly call 4 months ago. So, yeah, it's
okay.
Whatever. And I feel like a lot of this is going to be Heyman influence on Raw as well. I'm not going to put it all on him. I feel like this feels like Heyman.
Well, but nothing happens without Vince's approval.
Fair.
So
fair.
You know what I mean? Like it does.
But I don't credit Vince for coming up with this.
Well, it definitely feels fresh. It doesn't feel like something that Vince would have come up with or that we would have normally seen. But definitely, you know how it is with Vince. If he likes the idea, it's his idea.
And here's the other thing: we're not blading anymore. And that part I'm very okay with. Taker and Hogan and Stone Cold and everybody hitting the wrong vein and doing all. We're not blading anymore. We're using capsules. We're using gigs. We're using all kinds of stuff, modern prop stuff. we're not having guys Undertaker roll into the ring and cut his forehead again. So
right, we're not actually having Freddie Blassie genuinely bite open someone's forehead.
That too.
You know,
so I'm kind of okay with this. I don't think it's not apples and oranges for me, or apples to apples. It's different comparison to what you used to have 10 plus years, 15 years ago with blading. So.
Yeah, and I didn't have a problem with that on that metric at all either. And I definitely freaked out the kid. I guarantee kids are now terrified of Shayna Baszler.
Oh yeah,
what the hell's wrong with her? I guess one last thing I wanted to point out is the first thing you said was Becky Lynch stealing the ambulance. Stone Cold, right? It seemed a little bit. I don't know. Maybe this is just my mind has evolved since I've been watching wrestling. I'm curious if this is where everyone else is at, or if they just were cool with her just, stealing a damn ambulance and driving herself to the hospital and then driving herself back in the same ambulance.
Yeah, somehow she was able to get away from the hospital in an ambulance with the sirens wailing again because she never cut them off when she came back.
Did anybody else see that and go, this doesn't make any freaking sense? Or does everyone else like, I don't care, it's wrestling, it's cool?
For some reason, I didn't realize how much I missed people going backstage and speeding off in vehicles. And, there's something about that on its own that just made me go, Attitude Era, yes. Stone Cold! Right. And just, him pulling his truck up next to Vince. Or, flipping
We don't
Vince's
know where he
car
got the beer truck from. He just came up with the beer truck.
Pouring cement into his Corvette. Right. There's something about vehicles backstage in the garage that just really tickles me that I just love. So she comes back in the ambulance before she did the whole bit where she called Shayna out back in the ring at the end and just leaves the siren wailing.
As you do.
That was more of the Stone Cold! I
brought your ambulance back. You're welcome. Told you I'd return it, just covered in blood.
Oh, this was fantastic. If you had told me a year ago, or if you had told me at the beginning of October when we debuted SmackDown on Fox, primetime Friday nights, if you had told me that within 3 to 6 months we would be raving about how good Raw was and how terrible SmackDown had gotten, I'd have told you were crazy. But here we are. Raw's fantastic.
Here we are. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to Shayna versus Becky. I mean, she's going to Shayna here now is going to go from what is it? Tap, nap, or snap to snap, crackle, and pop with Becky Lynch. Sorry. I'm just so now here's the other question is well, I guess it's not even a question. I just want to end this on a statement. And that is like when she came back in the ambulance, and I'm like, that makes no sense. But it reminds me of Stone Cold. And I thought about the whole thing. I'm like, okay, Becky just had a competitive match against Asuka, who is a credible opponent. They had a completely excellent technical match, including a fantastic finishing sequence.
Yeah.
Followed up by a strong heel who was a massive champ on a different brand coming up and doing a like, what would you even call it? An injury angle or like a wounding angle, where she injures her, sends Becky to the hospital. Becky comes back and says, cool, you want to hurt me? I'm going to find you and mess you up. And I guess the only thing I want to say here, Nick, is looking at all of that on this one show, just from that one particular woman's feud, just that one, like, let's not think about the other women's feuds in WWE right now, but just that one, how far we've come from, you're fat, I'm going to steal your boyfriend, for our women's feuds. Now this is like, I remember maybe 2 years ago it was, Nick, we were saying when we were kind of kvetching about the overplaying of the word women's evolution and revolution, all that stuff, and saying like, don't just say it. Give us feuds that could be easily a man's feud that historically you would have given to men, and not the feuds where it's about who's prettier, or I'm jealous of you, or I'm being bitchy to you and you're being bitchy to me, and we're going to go and like catfight in the ring. Just give us a feud the way you would have written it for the men, and it just happens to be the women doing it. That's literally what this is.
You know where I thought about this last night was Asuka gave Becky a superplex off the top rope. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
5 years ago, if we had seen that, we'd have lost our shit.
I still lost my shit. Let's be clear.
So what you're talking about, I had that exact same thought. It wasn't even about the angle that we're referring to here with Shayna. It was during the match, and I went, oh my God, how far we've come from bra and panties pudding matches. And there's some people that still rave that they want that thing back, but I'm like, look at what's on TV right now. What we're getting in WWE comparatively. Like how bad it is over on AEW. It just accents how good the women's wrestling division is in WWE right now.
Well, on Raw, because again on SmackDown we have Bayley and Carmella who are having a match. They're having their championship match this Friday.
Yay.
So, and I do have the feeling like they'll turn it in the right direction over on AEW. And I still think that in general NXT is the best women's division by far and away.
Yeah, 2 years ago we had kendo
there.
stick on a pole match with Alexa and Bayley. Don't forget that.
Oh God, and Nia and Alexa too.
Oh God, yeah. With Mickie James, yeah.
Oh God, yeah, the Mickie James angle and them calling Dana Brooke Miss Piggy or whatever it was. Like I know they had Piggy James a while back, but they did the same. They did the same thing to Dana. Anyway, it was just a whole bunch of crap, and I'm just happy to see this. This is a fantastic feud. They're off to a great start. As long as they keep Charlotte out of it and we have a straight on one-on-one, we may get the feud that we wanted from Becky and Ronda last year. It's just now it's Becky and Shayna. So
any chance Asuka gets inserted to this to be a triple threat, or are we letting Shayna and Becky run all the way to Mania? Please run them all the way to Mania.
Run them to Mania.
Please do not spoil this too soon. Keep it in your pants. We don't need this match at Elimination Chamber.
I think the only thing they could do that might help it run to Mania is have Jessamine and Marina come up every once in a while and act as Shayna's goons, which I'm not terribly excited about, but it would extend the feud a little further.
More Nick coming true.
And with a one-on-one match at Mania. So, what did you say?
I said more Nick booking coming true. You could say.
When was that your booking?
I said Shayna came up with the Horsewomen and they ended up taking the women's tag titles or something like that. I don't remember. I didn't go that far back.
Like you're retroactively critiquing Nick booking that came true.
Hey, it's WWE. It's revisionist history. I'm rewriting it as I book. Right? That's how this works, right?
No, Nick, that's not how anything works. Jeez, he's starting to sound like Seth Rollins, who also had a lot to do on this show. He actually he opened up the show.
Hey, I don't lie.
No, never, Nick. No, never. You just do insane booking decisions.
Yeah.
Seth Rollins opens up the show with his boys, with Murphy now, not Buddy Murphy, but just Murphy and AOP.
I will henceforth be known as How.
How? Just How.
Just How. Yep.
Just How. We're taking off the first and part of the last?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll just call him Rawl from now on. So Rawl comes out to the ring and says the same thing he's been saying is like, hey, thanks all for giving me this Monday Night Messiah name. I love it. Everyone should follow me. By the way, Kevin Owens sucks. Of course, Kevin Owens comes out to respond to this. And he says, actually, no, Seth, you suck. But you know what? You love to run your mouth. You know what I love to do, and that's fight. And Seth says, that's great, but you don't exactly have a lot of friends with you right now. And Kevin Owens goes, actually, I do. And out come the Viking Raider War Machine Experience and flank him. And Seth goes, yeah, but they're not good at staying upright. Kevin Owens kind of pushes one of them, stays upright, pushes the other one, gives him like a little Orange Cassidy chop. And it looks like they're upright to me. Let's rumble. And boom, they all come down and have a big old scrum. Samoa Joe in his new cornrows comes out of nowhere and tries to take out Seth. The scrum is all pulled apart, and we end up having a 3-on-3 match. Sorry, 4-on-4 match to close out the show, the main event of the show. So, and that 4-on-4 match ends when Seth Rollins ends up. Well, let's see. It was first off, you had Joe get Murphy in the clutch, and Murphy tagged out a bunch, but the ref wasn't watching. Seth sneaks in with the stomp, and Murphy pins him for the 1-2-3. So sneak out another win. So again, we're back to where we were. We got full teams on both sides. Joe is back. He's healthy again. Where are we going from here? Should Rollins be winning every week? Because he's been sneaking out wins every week. He's been ahead of the faces every week. Is that how this should be going?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I can't have what I want, which is AOP versus War Machine.
Yeah, they seem kind of like window dressing, don't they? Both of them seem like just kind of the extra meat there.
I still think we're going to get that matchup by Mania. There's something in me that's telling me that that's going to be the Raw tag match at Mania is those two.
Well, there's a lot of dynamics going on here, isn't there? You have Rollins and Murphy as the tag champs. AOP, Viking Raiders are kind of like They're the goons. They're the extra muscle in these two groups. And then Owens and Joe, we never know when they're going to turn on each other. So there's a lot of little things you could do to like different aspects of these groupings that you could put together, whether it's tag teams or singles or triple threats or 4-on-4s like this.
Yeah.
So they have a lot to work with here. But will we stay entertained if they keep these the 4-on-4 going here until Mania? Like, is that enough to keep going?
The thing that I thought was interesting about this is I noticed Seth this week when they first came out at the top of the show, he sent down his minions. He stayed at the top of the ramp for 10 steps while they marched down. And the same exact thing happened when Owens and War Machine came down the ramp. He sent AOP and Murphy after them, and he stayed in the ring, which is when Joe came in and attacked him from behind. And I like that dynamic of it where he's kind of generaling them and giving them orders to go forth.
It's coming out of a kind of a fun little, I guess you would call it a fortune of circumstance, where, you know, he broke his pinky back in December, so he had to wear that glove for a while.
Did he burn it down?
I think he broke it. I think he broke it in a match.
So it's not just like a Michael Jackson glove on one hand kind of thing.
No, it's like a support and splint, but it was initially what it was, and then it just looked cool, and now they're calling him the Black Hand of Monday Night Raw, and he's sending his boys down with, like, he closes his fist and go get him, kind of like how AOP used to be back in NXT. Remember that?
Yep.
So that's where that's they get sent out with a fist. That sounded weird, but you know, so I'm digging the fact that we're back to that. Let's go get them. So I'm not mad at that.
No, I'm liking all of this.
Yeah, to me, I think there's something that they have to be careful that it doesn't get stale. They have to keep adding new elements to it, because right now it's just Kevin Owens and Joe won't stop fighting, and Seth is just an arrogant prick. All right, we need to get some more grist for the mill, but I understand this is Joe's first week back. We're going to reestablish, and next week we can go to another level.
Let's see if he can make it 2 weeks without getting injured before we start down a big storyline. But I'm okay with this. Much like over on AEW with the Bucks and Hangman and the Elite, let it slow burn. I'm okay with this. You know, 8-man tags to close out Raw in 20-minute matches. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, Cody.
We were looking at it in the live chat, going, "There's 20 minutes left. What kind of shenaniganry is going to happen? There's too much time." Nothing. It was a beautiful 8-man tag match for 20 straight minutes, and it was fantastic.
Nonstop action. Just insane. And Cody is interesting. Cody said in an interview this week on Wrestling Observer that they've got the top talent planned out a minimum of 6 months in advance on AEW, and he's working with some of the guys who don't know how to create their own stories, but that Hangman stuff is all his own, and it's his own weird sense of humor that's driving most of it.
Interesting.
So this is all as far as Hangman's little arc here. This is all going according to plan. They're not like slow burning it or slow playing it because they don't know. No, they know. They've got their beats all laid out. So beautiful. I'm curious to see how that different booking mentality works. You know, is WWE, have they planned their beats out to WrestleMania?
Probably.
Because AEW is saying that most of their top talent, is booked out. Their mid and lower tiers are only about a month out in terms of planning. So curious to see how that works out. Speaking of planning for WrestleMania, the big sexy Scot came to the ring. MVP had his VIP room segment back.
What?
So maybe
I
MVP.
thought he was done.
Did you watch this show? No, he's not done. He's done wrestling, but he's still going to have interview segments, and like this one, where he called out Drew McIntyre and dissed the crowd, and then called out Drew McIntyre, and they had a nice little banter where MVP's like, "Yo, man, we go way back, but you know what? You're not ready for WrestleMania. I just got to say, as an old friend, but you know what you need? You need a guy by your side, a business advisor, an advocate, if you will."
Hey, I think Becky Lynch is driving by behind you.
She's still driving around the dash. That's her new car now, is just the ambulance. Yeah. Yeah, there goes the man.
She's coming to get you in.
Probably for my horrible Irish accent.
Yeah.
That would be why.
No, mine.
So both of ours. Let's be clear. Apologies to all of our Irish listeners. So yeah, Drew McIntyre out in the ring with MVP. MVP says, "I could be your Paul Heyman." And Drew says, "Well, I don't really need a Paul Heyman because I can talk for myself. I can think for myself. And at the end of the day, you kind of suck." And he and MVP tries to walk away. MVP says, "Don't you walk away from me," grabs him, eats a headbutt for his troubles, and then 3, 2, 1, Claymore kick over the couch. Drew rips off his shirt and stands tall with all the ladies hooting and hollering. He points at the WrestleMania sign for effect. In addition, Nick, I got to point out, Drew was really relaxed in this segment.
Yeah.
Like, he just felt so natural. He was having fun.
NXT
he did
champion
nice
Drew McIntyre is officially
back.
This is what we've been waiting for 2 effing years, and it's taken this long to get here, but it's here, thankfully.
Yeah, and he feels very natural as like the big, confident face of the company kind of feeling guy that we're seeing here, where he's oozing charisma and confidence. He's connecting with the crowd. He's talking to them like they're his buddies, and they're all watching this stuff with him.
And the 3-2-1 thing is over as hell. It's already working.
It's starting to work. I think people aren't ready to expect it yet. He's still having to push for it a little bit, if you know what I mean. But I think the way they're going, by the time we get to WrestleMania, people will be ready for it.
He's got to find some way to cue the crowd that he's getting ready to do it.
Yeah. Do you think that this presentation of Drew McIntyre, not only by the company but by himself as well, will this hold up? Will this last, or is it going to start becoming grating, or like, are people going to turn on this and say he's pandering too much?
No.
Like, do you think this is solid as a solid foundation?
Yeah, this is the level that Seth couldn't get to a year ago. Like, he was almost there. Like, he was almost, but I mean, it's so natural for Drew. What felt uncomfortable with Drew was what he was doing before. Was the evil heel Scottish psychopath stuff, because we were so invested in NXT champion Drew McIntyre, super babyface Drew McIntyre, but just big, huge honking dude. And now we finally got that back. And now everything, like the moon's aligned, everything's right with the world again. The Drew McIntyre we've all wanted all along is back, and it just feels like it's coasting for him to beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania at this point.
Is this a good role for MVP?
No.
Like, do you like MVP coming back as kind of,
No.
Roddy Piper, Jerry the King Lawler? We're talking about in the chat
sure.
right now.
If he wanted to like somehow do his own, it felt like a Piper's Pit kind of thing. But I'd want him to get a little bit more antagonistic. Just dial it up a little bit more.
I think they've got to create a character where he's not immediately going to set off the faces, and he can play to the heels. Like, I think they've got to set that up a little bit, have him be a little bit more neutral, but then he can turn whichever way he wants to in the segment. Yeah. Like, he can be a little facey if the heels are getting on his case. So I'm not mad at this. I felt like he's keeping the kind of the arrogant FU crowd kind of thing going, but at the same time, I could see him maintaining this. Yeah. It wasn't bad. He was good. His presentation was good with it as well. So so. Not mad at this at all. Rhea Ripley showed up on Raw. This was surprising to me. Once it actually went down, I was kind of like, all right, I guess she's going to have to be on Raw a lot. But it's interesting because if you're going to create a feud with Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair, it's going to last till WrestleMania. How often are you going to have your NXT champ fly from Florida all the way to wherever the heck that WWE is and appear on their show to keep this feud going?
It's Charlotte Flair. Every week. Don't waste this opportunity.
Really?
For 2 months? Yeah.
Oh, God.
For 2 months. Poor Rhea.
They're going to have to figure out. She's the
NXT champion, for God's sakes, and she's getting to be on Monday Night Raw every week?
And you're going to burn her ass out by doing that schedule.
Poor Rhea.
That's going to be rough.
Poor Sarah Logan.
For her. Okay, well, poor Sarah Logan, too, because good God, she came in and got in Rhea's face, and Rhea just basically went, "Who are you? Meet me in the ring." And then went out and murdered her in the ring. Poor Sarah Logan. In fact, Rhea didn't even have to pay attention to her. Charlotte came out at the top of the ramp, stared her down, and Rhea just locked eyes with Charlotte the entire time while taking out Sarah Logan handily like the trash. Poor Sarah Logan. She got just, if she wasn't on the low end of the low card already, she really got put down here. But hey, all right.
She got to be on Raw. She got a mic in her hand down the ramp.
Exactly.
All check. Good for her, but she's getting Dana Brooke'd a little bit.
Yeah, but you know what? You have to have people at every level in the company for it to work. So, but again, I go back to how they're going to build this feud. And one of the things that Charlotte said at the end here is like, yeah, you can challenge me. You want to face me. You might not even be champ after this weekend, because this weekend, of course, is TakeOver Portland. Yeah. And this weekend or next weekend?
No, it's next weekend.
Okay. It's coming up this month. Coming up very soon. And yeah, so you might not even be champ come this time in a couple of weeks. So yeah, they're going to slow play this. I just wonder how often they're actually going to have Rhea on Raw, and how often she's going to be via satellite or a promo or something. Like, Jesus, let her.
It is this
she's
weekend.
Already your
we
champ.
were wrong.
It is, yeah. I was the first thing I said.
All right.
So yeah, I'm curious how much they're going to work Rhea on this, because again, like you said, it's Charlotte.
She's getting one of the signature matches of WrestleMania this year. Boo-hoo. Take a few flights for a few weeks. You know? It's not that big of a deal.
Damn. Heartless.
That's not heartless.
Heartless.
Right?
Nick McMahon over here.
If she goes to 80% of TV.
Just do the work, pal.
Seriously, though, if she goes to 80% of TV, that's like 7 flights over the next 8 weeks.
Hey, I'm not saying this is a huge opportunity for her, and like she's not going to want to do the work.
Right.
I'm only expressing my sympathies for her schedule over the next couple of months.
Charlotte's going to have to go to some NXTs as well, you know?
Some NXT. She ain't going to be at every NXT.
No. You wouldn't find me complaining about having to, oh no, I have to fly to Raw this week.
Well, all right, Nick. Good to know. When you actually work their schedule, you let me know how that works out for you, how you're feeling.
Yeah. I'll be getting shoulder surgery next week, so it won't be for a while.
Oh, cool. So you'll probably feel a lot like Matt Hardy after the segment he had with Randy Orton, where Orton came out to explain his actions, quote unquote, and couldn't really quite get the words out. And out came Matt Hardy, who cut a very long, pretty heartfelt promo.
This tugged on the heartstrings hard.
This was good. Well, and I have some suspicions about that. I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Because Matt Hardy essentially summed up his whole career. He's like, I have more reason than anybody to hate Edge.
He stole my girl. Literally.
Like for real, he did. Everyone started chanting Lita. And we said, but you know what? We also, before all of that went down between us, and we've since patched it up, but before all that, we were like brothers. Like we slept in the same hotel rooms when we were all pitching together to save money. We invented TLC together. Like, we've got some major history. And I can only imagine what it would be like to have my future taken away from me in an instant. And I would not wish that on my worst enemy, which he was. And in the time since, like, I've been thinking, because Edge kept coming to me and saying, what if? And he comes back, and what do you do, Randy? You take him out. You possibly jeopardize his future. You jeopardize his future. How dare you, Randy? And Randy responds with trying to give him an RKO, which Matt blocks because he knows Randy too damn well, and they end up scuffling around and wrestling, and Randy ends up getting the better of him, RKO, and then gives him a concerto for his troubles. 2 things here. We're pushing back Randy's explanation. Fine, I don't need it right now. We got to run this to WrestleMania. Take all the time you want with this. This is gonna be one of those slow turning up the heat on this. Fine, no problem with that. Matt Hardy was what interested me here.
Okay.
They gave him a ton of time for this promo. And then they took him out with what could be, quote unquote, a career-ending injury angle, right?
Okay.
Very similar to how they got Jericho out. It's the sort of thing that they do when guys are about to leave. Well, reports are Matt Hardy's contract is up any day now. Like, literally could be any day now. His contract is up. And there are already rumors that he's going to AEW. Obviously, we've speculated on it here, him being the exalted one for the Dark Order. Matt Hardy tweeted out after this, goodbye, all caps. And Evil Uno tweeted back, or just tweeted out in general,
retweeted it.
You say goodbye, and I say hello.
You say goodbye, and I say... Okay, sorry.
Yes, thank you, Nick. We get the reference.
Everybody. We're old. Not everybody gets the Beatles reference.
Speak for yourself, sir. I'm young at heart. So no, so obviously they're trying to stir the waters, and it's not like this would be the first time that anybody had ever held AEW over WWE's head in order to get a bigger, better contract. Randy Orton, so I don't think it's fait accompli that Matt's going to AEW. But if it is, if he's going, then this was certainly I think a decent way to do it.
Yes, nice send off. You know, it's
Yeah.
one of those. Let him. It's aside from the TLC stuff and their return at WrestleMania a few years ago. That whole angle with Edge was probably one of the signature things of his wrestling career. I guess you could throw the broken gimmick stuff in there as well, right? So to have that for all of us old Smarky fans that remember that whole thing, and the fact that it broke kayfabe and it was real AF, blew all of our minds that it actually happened. So for that to be the thing that he sort of, his swan song, if you will, headed out of WWE again, to go over to AEW and do something crazy, and maybe he becomes broken again to lead the Dark Order. I'm so in. I'm so all in on this. Like, this was a great way for Hardy to go out, and it pulled on my heartstrings because we lived through that era. Right?
If it's his last thing in WWE for a while, it was a good way out. Good way out.
Totally.
A few more things on Raw. The Street Profits had a match with Moss and Rawley, and ultimately lost. But then after the match, this was interesting. Riddick Moss turned on Mojo Rawley, rolled him up, pinned him for the 24/7 title. That's fun. All right, little twist in this, dude. It's amazing how with a little bit of creative change backstage, all of a sudden even the lower card guys have something interesting going on. Like, I didn't give a crap about Mojo and Riddick last week, but now I'm like, oh, okay, interesting.
That's just got interesting.
A little interesting there. 24/7 title actually worth something now.
The Street Profits won a match. They wrestled in a match.
Right. All good here too. Was not mad at any of this. So I think they need to do some more work to make the 24/7 title mean a damn thing. It still feels a bit like a comedy belt. But
are we past the R-Truth 24/7 7-Eleven European TV title thing yet?
It feels that way. It feels that way here, where it's being given a little bit more legitimacy. Friend will turn on friend to get it, kind of thing. I would like to, you know what? And this is an absolute goddamn nitpick, but I wouldn't mind, Nick, if they just put it out there. Why are all these low card guys so invested in this title? Like, they'll run around like crazy to get their hands on this title. Why? Is it a huge jump in pay? Like, do you get like certain perks for being a champion? Do you know what I mean? Like,
the belt is actually a codex to the Ark of the Covenant or something? Like, does it have some kind of special key? Is that why everybody's chasing it around?
Yes, Nick, a codex to the Ark of the Covenant. Sure. Good God.
Y'all want crazy fantasy wrestling?
Yeah,
I'm your boy.
All right. Killing me, dude. You know what I mean. Just have it like, just all it would take would just be one sentence in a promo. One sentence in a promo. Why people would want this title. And then all of a sudden it would have stakes. We would know why they care about this title. A little nitpick. But I think that would be something that would go a long way. Nice to see Riddick Moss already splitting from Mojo. Was it too soon? Had it not really been established enough they were friends? Should they have waited a little bit longer for this? Or
somebody in the chat, who was that? Marshall said it gets you into Hogwarts. If we see Nick Cage come around the corner chasing after it, it's actually the thing that holds the real copy of the Declaration of Independence.
Oh, I thought you said Nick Gage. I'm like, what?
No, Nick Cage.
Oh, Nick Cage.
No,
Nicholas
Nick
Cage. I don't know. I'd be terrified if Nick Gage came running after that thing. Anyone who holds it drops it. I'm done. Nope, you're good.
Nope, you're good. Bye.
Yep,
you can have it.
Don't want it. So, yeah. Also on the show, Angel Garza had a match with Cedric Alexander. Beat him with a wing clipper, even though some interference from Humberto Carrillo at the beginning of the match. So we're keeping, this whole feud going while Andrade is out. At what point, Nick, do you feel like Garza might upstage Andrade? Like, is he going to get over too much? Because the plan right now, as I understand it, is he's literally just here as a placeholder. And he'll go back down to NXT. Once Andrade is back, he'll probably get beaten by Carrillo and kind of sent back down. Do you think there's a possibility that he might get himself over enough while Andrade is gone? Because he's already getting a lot of respect on.
He's coming out with Zelina.
Internet.
I got to say, the hottest moment, like second only maybe to the Shayna bit, was seeing Humberto coming out fired up.
Oh yeah,
and just going after him, and them being held back and all that. I'm so into this. I don't really know why, But I want those two to get hands on each other.
Because they're great performers.
Oh God, I'm so invested in this. I wish I could say the same about Andrade. I'm just not.
But do you? Wow, really? I
love Andrade.
love to
Don't
see-
get me wrong, but the fire between these two on this week's Raw, I was just like, oh God, yes, I want to see this.
I wouldn't mind if Andrade came back and Garza went into business for himself. He wasn't a good guy. He wasn't a bad guy. He was just kind of, he'd screw over both sides for it.
Did a little Prince Finn, Prince Devitt,
Yeah, maybe.
like he did on NXT.
Yeah. I mean, going into business for himself, I wouldn't be mad at that. But that being said, my question isn't, is it over with you? Obviously, it is. It's over with me too. I love this, but is the crowd going to connect to this? I think is more the question. Are they selling it in a way that the crowd is going to invest in these guys? Because that's really the major question. All the talent in the world is there. I think they can tell a good story, but will the audience bite on this? And that's really what I'm most worried about. And that's nothing to do with them.
Ray needs to put it over. He's trying his best in little bits and pieces here and there, but Ray is the one that the crowd will get behind. And I'm not saying he needs to be in the match, but he needs to be mixing it up in there somehow. He needs to pick a side and pit them against each other and make it a triple threat for the U.S. title. Something
Fatal
silly,
four-way,
right?
fatal four-way, all four of them.
Just something, and put those guys over hard because, I mean, we're looking at the future right now, guys. If you don't realize that, look at Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza. Those guys are the friggin' future.
Well,
they are going to be awesome in about 3 years. They're going to be top of the card wrestlers in WWE.
you know what I think? You know what I think the future is, Nick.
Oh, La Sombra.
Yeah.
El ídolo.
That's where my loyalties lie in this. But at the same time, like I love all these guys and I want to see them all get over. So that's kind of what I hope happens. Butters made a good point in the chat too, and I hadn't really thought about this because it was too depressing, but I guess I should bring it up. Dude, Carrillo and Garza got into it before this match, and Garza got beat up, and he still beat Cedric. Like, what did Cedric do?
That's my boy.
What did he do to piss people off?
I don't know.
Like,
was he seen out and about with Rich Swann or
was
something?
it?
Like, I don't know.
He kind of sided with ACH on the whole thing. That was when that all went down. He was tweeting out some things in support of him. So I'm wondering if he's getting punished for that or something. I don't know.
God, I hope not.
I hope not too. That'd be really bad.
Yeah, it's hard to see that a guy 2 years ago was defending the Cruiserweight Championship and seemed somewhat unbeatable until Buddy showed up.
I mean, less than a year ago, he was coming off the top of the Titantron on dude.
Yeah.
And part of the main event. And had like a great angle going where he was Seth Rollins' hidden little buddy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know what happened there. Be very curious to find out. A couple more things. Ruby Riott is back, and she cut a promo on Liv Morgan saying Liv is a follower and she needs to get back in line. So I guess this feud is official, Nick. I guess is the whole thing with Liv and Lana over now? Because Lana was off doing something else this week.
Where's Rusev? They announced they had said he's going to be in this stupid tournament that's going to be in Saudi Arabia, so he's around.
Yeah.
Where's all this time?
The only reports I'm seeing.
Oh God, you asked me about Ruby Riott and Liv. Let me talk about that first.
Okay.
Because I want to save that because that's a Nick rant.
Uh-oh.
This is not the way we should have brought Ruby back.
No?
I don't think so.
What? You wanted her to be a face, huh? You wanted to be able to...
No. Let me back up a step.
Okay.
Inserting Ruby Riott into the dirty leavings, the afterbirth of the Lana and Lashley and Rusev thing. Like that's how you're gonna bring her back, and then somehow she indirectly has a feud because she attacked her from behind. Liv, I mean,
well, but this
come on, man, you can't give her a legit story for once.
I feel like that's what this was. What this promo was Liv was busy finishing up her deal. She finished it up. She beat Lana clean twice. Boom, we're done. And Ruby comes along, and now Liv has a whole new feud. And she splits off from Lashley and Lana, and that's done. And now we can have a good, clean feud between ex-friends. You should be happy about this. This is a great way to bring Ruby back. Saving Liv.
I love Ruby.
Right. But she's saving Liv from this horrible
like
other
a
angle.
second. She's playing second fiddle to the Lana stuff.
Not anymore.
Because you even just asked me about it as part of the opening of this. Like, how is this affecting Lana and Lashley?
And your answer is you think that they're still a part of the Lana and Lashley story. That's not the case. Lana and Lashley were off dealing with Ricochet. Lana was supporting Lashley while Ricochet was trying to face him as like a rematch to revenge for, quote, stealing the match last week to give him the #1 contendership against Brock Lesnar in Super Showdown. And Ricochet beat Lashley clean, and Lana wasn't happy, and that was it. We had nothing about Lana and Liv. We had nothing about Lashley and Rusev. They were off doing their own little stupid thing on the sidelines and getting beat clean by Ricochet. So the Liv and Ruby thing is completely clean of Lana right now. And if it stays that way, will that make you happy? Because then that means it's a clean break and it's just Ruby and Liv.
Yes. Okay. So for Ruby and Liv, yes, go have your thing away from Lana and Lashley.
If they do that, are you happy?
Fine. Yes. Please. But take it as far away from Lana hell as possible.
That's what I feel is happening.
So what I was going to say a minute ago is Rusev. It feels like to me we did all of that Lana Lashley stuff for Rusev. Not for Lashley, not for Lana.
Certainly not for Lashley.
In the end, exactly. But in the end, it was supposed to be to boost Rusev, to get the crowd behind him, super face him, give him a push. He's gone.
Yeah.
Just nowhere. He showed up on a card for the two trophy gauntlet match. It's going to be in Saudi Arabia, whatever the hell that shit is.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Come on.
We'll talk about
Where's
that.
Ruru?
He's in the White Trophy Gauntlet match. We'll talk about that in a second. I want to hit on something. I mentioned Ricochet real quick because see that match with Lashley and Lana. Bruce Mitchell came out on him this week from Torch, man. He was like, he said that Ricochet's promos suck. Like he said, all those years that Ricochet, I mean, maybe he was being sarcastic or arch, but that stuff doesn't come through on Twitter. He said, all these years, Ricochet honed his body and his athleticism. You'd think he'd put a little bit of time into working on his promos. And Ricochet gave a promo this week backstage before he came out. And I said this last week as well, Nick, is that he's not going for the big fiery babyface stuff right now. He's not going for like the Kevin Owens, like confident, swaggery thing. He's going for the earnest, plucky babyface thing. And I think he's doing a good job at that.
It's okay. It's sufficient.
It's serviceable.
It's not anything to write home about. Serviceable.
It's better than a lot of the ones I've seen.
Then he goes out to the ring and does a 630, and I'm like, all right, I don't really care what he says on the mic. It's fine.
I mean, you know what it reminded me of?
What?
Do you remember how bad Pac, or at the time, Adrian Neville's promos were when he was a little babyface like what they're doing with Ricochet?
Yeah, I couldn't understand him because I didn't speak Geordie.
Okay, but like I'm talking about his demeanor and the way he delivered his lines. It
Sure.
was almost the same as Ricochet is now, and no one's going to say that Pac is a bad promo now because he's a great promo.
Oh, he's brilliant.
But I'm saying maybe Ricochet is being and I'm defending our boy here, but because I've seen him give fiery promos that are good. I'm wondering if he's being coached to be this kind of like, well, just want to, go out and do my best. And,
have a good match.
Been trying to do this for 17 years, and I'm here, and you haven't broken me yet. I'm going to go out and show you what I can do. And, hopefully people will be behind me. And, that's going to be hopefully be a good match. And if I'd like it if I won, I might not win because, things are tough. But I'm going to go out there.
He's a big boy, but I'm going to try my best.
I'm going to give it my best. Yes, sir. Just like my mom always taught me to do. And I'm going to go home afterwards. She's going to make me some chicken soup because I've been feeling a little bit under the weather, a little peaked. But
remember how much I hated the Roderick Strong face trailer park promos?
Yeah.
It's kind of how I feel about these two.
All right.
But you know what? He's out there doing 630s on top of big dudes.
Is that Ricochet's fault?
No.
Oh, okay. We're on the same page.
Yeah.
All right.
He's doing a big old toe in the company line right now as he's doing what he's doing.
That's kind of how I feel. That's kind of how I feel about it.
He's still kind of new around here, so he's just pulling that company line as hard as he can.
Vince loves his babyface promos, and I think Ricochet is a solid babyface promo. He's not the greatest babyface promo ever, but he's
what have we always said?
Totally serviceable.
WWE does not know how to build baby faces.
Yeah,
and this is a perfect case of it. But again, he walks out to the ring and does 630s on
the best babyface thing the best babyface thing that Ricochet ever did was when AJ Styles slapped him in the face, he just stood right back up and slapped him right back. Didn't say a damn thing. Just psh.
Yep. No, sold it like hell.
The best babyface thing he's ever done. All right. One more quick thing. Aleister Black had a quote-unquote match against Akira Tozawa. He basically just black masked the crap out of him. Tozawa sold it like death. like death.
You'd think a sniper from 1,000 yards shot him with a Barrett 50 caliber.
Back
Because he just
and
went
to the left.
And
Literally, his head went back and to the left.
to the left.
And the ref behind was, oh God! It looked amazing. Aleister Black once again kills somebody. Nick, I'm going to blow your mind right now because Mick Foley tweeted out after this, Aleister Black should be at the top echelon of WWE. All he needs is the right opponent to get him there.
Okay.
I think we can all agree Aleister Black has not had that right opponent yet on WWE main roster.
Fair.
WrestleMania's coming up.
Yep.
Do you want to know what my speculation is? And this is, take it as such. There's no rumor here. This is just my speculation as to who Aleister Black should face and defeat, or at least look good against at WrestleMania. Undertaker.
Oh, of course.
Oh.
It'll take an hour for both of them to get all the way down that ramp.
Yep.
Well, that's a good way to eat an hour off of a 6-hour show.
Imagine those dueling entrances, one after the other.
Oh,
give
God.
Aleister a proper entrance at WrestleMania. I mean, that I think, if he went out there and had a good stand-up match with The Undertaker, it would do wonders for him.
Totally. Especially if he put Taker down. Like, would it be just him and Brock Lesnar? I mean, yeah.
No, I don't want to. I don't want him with Brock. I don't want him with Brock yet.
But
if they were thinking of Aleister as one of the guys to go up against Brock, one of the guys they were going to elevate to Brock level, Undertaker's not an unreasonable other one for him to go against.
No.
You know they're going to want to have an Undertaker at WrestleMania. So who does Taker face? Black would be a good one.
Black. It would be a good one. And if you remember back, it's been a couple of years at this point. We did a bonus episode. One of our first ones was on NXT Stars, How Far Will They Rise?
Yep.
And we were talking about Aleister Black, and we said if they nail the entrance. And I remember specifically saying something like he could be the next Undertaker.
I think
if
did.
They get the entrance right.
We said the overall
because it has that same kind of mystical,
weird, creepy,
supernatural element to it.
Yeah. But it wasn't just his entrance. It was his overall presentation. And there is definitely something that is unique about Aleister Black's presentation that you have to get right. And it's something the same with Undertaker, where it took them a while to figure out exactly how to do it. I would argue that they got, he was really good as, the Lord of Darkness, and he was really good as a lot of the early iterations. But when he came back as the Dead Man after Biker Taker, like in the mid-2000s, they had it clean as a whistle. That was Taker. So it took him forever. But obviously he had a lot of great iterations before that. I think that with Aleister, that might be what's happening here too, where they nailed him in NXT, but main roster, they can't conceptualize what that was, because I think you have to be kind of a metalhead to get what Aleister Black was in NXT. And Triple H is a metalhead. And so he got exactly what he was going for, because Triple H knows about black metal culture. So he got that. They're not going to get, even someone as smart as Paul Heyman is not going to wrap his head around that. It's not his
he's
worldview.
spooky, so let's add creepy creaking noises to his intro.
Exactly.
No, that's not what that means. The thing it's not what you think it means.
Right. He's not Rob Zombie, for God's sake. He's not about like old spooky, crappy Elvira TV shows. He's about like real dark Nordic shit. All right.
Yeah.
So again, I think that Black is someone who ultimately could be pushed to that level, but we'll see if they get there and they can somehow, the main roster can figure out what that is. Nick, we are spending a lot of time on this Raw, but again, it was a really damn good Raw this week.
Yeah, it was.
It was
solid.
There was a lot of killer and very little filler overall, I'd have to say. So nicely done. One last thing, as you did mention, the Twaik Trophy Gauntlet match has been announced. AJ Styles, Rusev, Andrade Cien Almas, Lashley, Rowan, and R-Truth. There's a bizarre lineup for a match. It's a gauntlet match, so obviously.
I mean, I love a good gauntlet match, but I'm looking at the cast of characters. Is Rowan still going to have his cage?
Well,
is he taking that thing all the way to Saudi?
Is AJ going to be able to do a lot, or is he still injured? Is Andrade, obviously Andrade's going to be back from suspension at that point, but are they mad at him after his suspension, or is he going to get pushed some more?
I figure first defense, 30 days. He doesn't even have to drop the title. So I think Andrade is fine.
Are Lashley and Rusev still going to be feuding in this?
Yeah, I hope so.
And what the hell are Rowan and R-Truth doing in this? Like, there's a lot.
Laying down.
Well, I know why R-Truth is in it, and R-Truth might actually win this. And hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. They're debuting WWE 24 R-Truth after Super Showdown.
Interesting.
Just saying. And it's,
that is going to be an interesting show. I
Yeah.
can't wait. I can't wait to see what they actually do with that. If they
interesting.
If they keep it real. Charlotte boy, R-Truth. A lot of love for R-Truth. Over 20 years in the business almost. So I love. I just hope it's real and not the character he portrays as this kind of goofy, nebbish doofus that just doesn't really know what world he's in at any given time. I'd like to hear from Ronald, Mr. Killings, what his story actually is. I hope they do that. Or if it's just one of those 24s where they're debuting the championship. If it's just a 24-hour thing, then it's not a true chronicle.
Well, yeah.
It's not a thing.
Will it be in kayfabe and he's goofy R-Truth, or will it be like real R-Truth? So I'm looking forward to seeing it as well. And that was Monday Night Raw, sir.
Oh, thank you very much, Syrian Dangerous. But we're not done yet, guys.
No.
We had a massive pay-per-view happen on the other side of the planet, so we got to go talk about New Japan, New Beginning.
What's funny is I don't know if I would call it massive, Nick. I don't know if I would call this a massive pay-per-view, because this was like a C-level pay-per-view for them, relatively speaking, in terms of size. It just happened to be a really damn good show.
Over-delivered as that.
Oh, my God. It was a really good show. Started off with a kind of a bittersweet 4-on-4 tag match, as it always does with the tag matches. Nakanishi, Tenzan, Kojima, Nagata versus Makabe, Honma, Hinare, and Taguchi. Not surprisingly, Nakanishi won. He's only got 4 matches left till his retirement, so he's on his farewell tour. His goodbye show is coming up in a couple of weeks.
I like that they waited on this and didn't try to do it at Wrestle Kingdom with Liger when they let him participate. But I like that they're giving Nakanishi and Nagata their own time. So
yeah, and him and Tiger Hattori, they're spacing him out, so it's great.
Yeah.
We had a junior heavyweight tag team title match. Sho and Yo defeated Desperado and Kanemaru, and they got challenged by their mentors. After the match, Sho and Yo got challenged by Taguchi and Rocky. Taguchi and Rocky saying, we're great coaches. You guys are so good. How about you see if you can beat us? And so they're going to have a match on February 20th, which is a show that...
Did they say it was for the titles?
For the titles.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's going to be a real interesting one. Can Sho and Yo overcome their coaches, their masters?
Rocky's been wrestling the USA Tour, New Beginning.
Dude,
so
Rocky, last year, people forget, Rocky had some absolutely banger matches in the junior heavyweight tournament and a bunch of other ones. But that show is February 20th. Also, the headline of that show, the February 20th show, is Shingo Takagi versus Tomohiro Ishii for the Never title. So you're going to hear those chops from here.
Oh.
Also on this show, the New Beginning Osaka show, Tanahashi, Ibushi, Juice Robinson, and David Finlay teaming up against Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, Yujiro Takahashi, and Chase Owens, Bullet Club. And, what was interesting here was Tanahashi pinned Tongaloa, meaning that he pinned the tag champs. Well, it is official now, as of this point. Tanahashi and Ibushi are going to be challenging the Guerrillas of Destiny for the tag team title belts on February 21st, which is also a show where Shingo Takagi, Evil, and Bushi are defending their 6-man Never belts against Toru Yano, Colt Cabana, and Ryusuke Taguchi. So 20th and 21st are looking like really good shows as well.
Yeah.
Good
this
grief.
was the 8-man tag match that main evented the show I saw here in Raleigh, except swap out Ibushi because he got sick, I believe it was.
Yeah.
I think Sho was the one that subbed in for him that night.
Sounds about right.
Yep.
Yeah. They're pushing Sho pretty hard. They're looking like he's going to go after Shingo at some point. Probably after Ishii's done with him, Sho is going to look at the Never belt. So
nice.
Good for him. Also a tag team that I could watch any day of the week. Okada and Ospreay versus Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr. Of course, this is basically just building up the fact that Will Ospreay and Zack Sabre Jr. have a match for the Rev Pro British Heavyweight belt this weekend. So keep your eyes out for that over on Rev Pro. Jay White,
the little bit they had with each other at the end after the match with Ospreay holding the belt for him and it's just Zack just talking shit to him, slapping him on the face and just God, I loved that. So
Ospreay's
good.
never won that title. 7 times. He's never been able to win it. So hopefully this is the weekend. Jay White beats Sonata. Not really a surprise there. Sonata is just like the perennial. He's like the gateway man to the top. Yeah. Poor guy. And then of course here comes the match that I think a lot of people were looking forward to. The rematch of the match that nearly ended Hiromu Takahashi's career. Takahashi versus Ryu Lee for the junior heavyweight title. And these crazy sons of bitches, Nick. These crazy sons of bitches. If you watch one match from this show, this is the match to go and watch because it was basically just absolute brutality and insanity for about 20 minutes.
The first 30 seconds of this match, it had more action than most New Japan regular matches that I see. And then they spent 10 minutes slapping each other in the chest and neck. Like, you guys thought Cody getting 10 lashes with a belt was bad? Hiromu's chest was purple!
His whole left boob after this match was like dark purple. Like an ugly shade of purple. His entire left boob. Like, it wasn't like a little handprint or something. The entire thing! And the man's got a big chest for his size. So yeah, and then I posted in our group because it's one of the most insane suicide dives I've seen in a long time. But Ryu Lee comes out of the ring in a suicide dive and just takes Takahashi back over a table. Just unbelievable. So fantastic match. Takahashi does retain here, not too surprising, because of given what had to happen later on in the show. But I said
there was that moment where there was that moment where he packaged him up and almost took him over again. Everybody went, like, "Oh God, no! Oh no! Don't do it again!"
You know they did that just
even
to
Kellen Kelly freaked out.
Yeah, they all did that to mess with us. You know that. But then came the match that I was here for, and that was Jon Moxley versus Minoru Suzuki in the crazy son of a bitch match. Nick, we said this was going to be a war. This was a goddamn war.
I saw assholes online saying, "Well, it wasn't as good as we thought it would be."
What were you expecting, guys? That someone to die?
I mean, short of a mortician rolling a coffin out, yes, these two guys beat the holy hell out of each other.
Like, Jesus Christ, the holy hell. There was headshots with chairs. There was all kinds of stuff. Like,
Moxley gave up on running ropes and started running barricades. Like, he went and like tried to bounce off the barricade. That was one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time. As if it were a rope. And he runs over and just clotheslines Suzuki. Just brilliant. Like, all of this.
And we had a major first. Suzuki, the first guy to ever kick out of a Death Rider.
That's a big deal.
That's a big deal. That's got to be how Jon Moxley convinced him to put him over. Is like, I'll let you kick out my finisher.
All right.
How about that?
Yeah.
This was just beautiful. It's just you got two guys who have built their characters on loving pain and loving punishment, and you get the two of them in the ring, and you're going to have two guys who just are having too much fun, and they look like they were having fun, genuinely, not just play acting. They look like they were having fun, just causing mayhem. And just destroying each other.
Just trading shots back and forth. And then there was one where Moxley like really hit him. You saw the sweat just fly off of his head.
It's funny. I felt like Suzuki pulled his punches a little bit with Moxley. I've seen him really go at dudes, and he was being a little bit nice.
But there were a couple where they landed.
Yeah, the slap bite at the end. The slap bite at the end. It was definitely
Suzuki just rearing back, laughing and wiggling his tongue around and doing all that after taking some devastating shots.
Do you see the smile?
Yeah.
Do you see the smile just when I think of that? Oh my God, I loved it. Loved it.
Fantastic.
But Moxley did pick up the win here. Second Death Rider onto a chair. That finally laid out Suzuki. The ref tried to break him up, and they both pushed the ref away. Like, get out of here. We're fighting.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But then after the match, who should come to lay out Jon Moxley and lay his claim? Zack Sabre Jr. biting off Zack Sabre Jr.
Zack Sabre Jr.'s southern cousin Jack Sabre Jr.
Yeah, Jungle Jack Sabre came out and challenging for the U.S. title. No, so it looks like Zack Sabre Jr. is heading for Moxley. That should be interesting. Can Moxley wrestle technically?
Does that give you a little
excited
foreshadowing up to the Ospreay-Zack Sabre match if he's going to drop it with Ospreay and then head over to fight with Moxley over the U.S. title?
It did feel a little bit like that to me. I'll tell you right now. I mean, I expected him to drop to the Ospreay anyway, just because Ospreay just lost to him. Ospreay's never had the belt. It'd be huge for Ospreay given his push right now. Ospreay needs a belt.
Yeah.
And Ospreay can come over and defend that against a lot of guys. So it made sense to put it on Ospreay. And then already we know what Zack Sabre is going to do after he loses that belt. Go for the U.S. belt. Yep. Possibly win it off of Moxley, because I don't think it's, given how they've established Zack Sabre over there, it doesn't hurt you to tap out to him, because freaking everyone has tapped out to Zack Sabre Jr. Everyone. So it's not going to hurt him if he taps out to Zack. So yeah, I'm excited for that. I think that's a great next step, especially because if Suzuki is moving on at some point and Zack needs to establish himself as the head of Suzuki Gun, then having him step right up after someone beats Suzuki is a good way to continue.
Totally.
So, then the main event, Tetsuya Naito defending his belts against Kenta in another war. Nick, I haven't seen that much blood in a New Japan match in a while. He got busted open on an exposed turnbuckle, and
what did he get?
Busted open. Busted.
No. Wrong show.
Busted wide.
There you go.
Open. Yeah. 200, baby. 200.
Woo.
2-aught.
I love how the ref caught him taking the turnbuckle. He goes, nope. And then he immediately just goes over to the other side, pulls a Toriyano, takes the pad off. Fantastic. But yeah, talk about taking a shot the hard way. Good Lord. That's a lot of blood. And then he just, after, of course, he retains, beats Kenta, but stays in the ring, gives a fiery promo at the end of the show, and then goes back to the table and does a press conference like he's not completely covered in blood.
Yeah. Blood? What blood?
What? There's no blood here.
Yeah. Remember when Jericho busted him open? Busted him wide open, and he was he was kind of like, yeah, I'm covered in blood, whatever. Yeah. But here's the interesting thing is that after this match, we got Naito's next opponent. And this is actually tradition. The heavyweight champion and the junior heavyweight champion face each other at some point. That means Naito is going to defend against his teammate, stablemate, Hiromu Takahashi. And he's actually been interviewed about this since this. And he said, last year I had my thing with my eye. We didn't know if Takahashi was ever going to be able to wrestle again. Your career can be taken away from you in a heartbeat. He's like, I'm so happy to be able to do this against my brother, to have a match against my brother. Like, I never thought I'd be able to wrestle this guy. So this is awesome. So not a grudge match, not a weird testing of each other, like Los Ingobernables might split up. No. Brother versus brother in a friendly showcase match. And Naito versus Hiromu. I'm all in on that. March
there was
3rd.
That shot that they had that I'm probably going to make the banner, so spoiler alert, at the end where they had all three belts. The heavyweight, the intercontinental, and the junior heavyweight all laid out, and they were fist bumping over the top of it. And my heart kind of melted into a puddle a little bit. I'm not going to lie. It was kind of awesome. Oh, I want that so bad. Especially, we never thought we'd see Hiromu wrestle again, man.
It's not for the belt.
It's like Edge coming back for us, in a way.
Not that big at all.
I mean, for the Japanese audience.
It's more like Daniel Bryan, I think. Even then, it's not even as big as Daniel Bryan was even bigger than this. But it is a big deal because people. The thing was more that with Daniel Bryan, they said his career was over. Hiromu, they never said it was over. We just didn't know.
Yeah.
We didn't know, but it could have been at any point, right? So, yeah, it's great to see him back.
I tried to stay up that night, and I made it to about 3:30 in the morning. I'm like, nope, I'm shutting down.
Speaking of shutting down, Nick, we got to shut down this show here.
Yes.
Naito versus Hiromu, March 3rd. Looking forward to that, and that is New Japan.
Well, guys, we're going to finish things up with our moment of positivity. Caesarean Dangerous.
Mop, 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 mop. It's the mop.
Mop.
Yeah, moment of positivity. Let's do this.
Yes. What made you happy? I guess it's between New Beginning and Raw. Like what?
There was a lot. Blood and guts on Raw. Moxley and Suzuki in New Japan.
Blood and guts on New Japan?
Yeah. Damn. It was since the last time we were on the show, there really isn't anything that made me not happy.
Yeah.
Like, it was all good. It was pretty much all good. I'm like looking
This
down
is one of
everything.
the first times I can look at Raw and go, there's not one thing I didn't enjoy.
Lana
Think about that.
Lana spoke, and but even that, like, I know she's playing the annoying character. She was fine on that. Like, really, I feel bad for Cedric. I'm just kind of looking over everything. There was nothing. Like, it was all good.
Yeah.
I felt a little bit bad for Sarah Logan, but that's her role. Like, what? There's nothing. It's all good. I'm gonna have to go with Moxley Suzuki again, just because, my God. But also Hiromu and Dragon Lee. It's all good, Nick.
Yeah.
It's all good.
It's all really good. The one that I'm going to pick out and signify as mine is, frankly, because every now and then wrestling can get you. Like, they can just go, oh, God, I really liked that. I didn't think I would, but I really want to see that. Oh, my God. And it was the moment, the standoff and the face-off between Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo this week.
Really?
Oh, man. It was one of those moments where I was like, if you had told me, like, on paper, I'm like,
yeah,
that would be cool. But I didn't realize, like, charged up Carrillo came running out there. I was just like, yes! Oh, my God. And it's Angel Garza. Yes! Oh, God. The Raw main audience, the filthy casuals of the main roster audience are not ready for those two. And to see the entire, like, staff locker room empty out.
Yeah.
And hold them all back and all the refs and everything, I'm like, oh, my God, this feels like a main event go-home show of some sort.
The fire was there.
Oh, God.
But
So every now and then I get pleasantly surprised. And, of course, there were 10 things I could call out that were positives from this week. That was the one that really stood out for me that I wasn't expecting.
Well,
so that was my moment.
I guess that makes sense because no one can resist the power of the Garzadong.
Yes. Hashtag Garzadong.
Hashtag Garzadong.
He must go to the same trunks tailor as Tai Chi.
All I know is I got to go to that trunks tailor because
No, you don't.
It makes everything look lovely. It just picks everything up.
I don't want to see that high up on your thighs.
It's like when women, see another woman in a great bra and they go, "Where did you get that?" Because it just makes your chest look amazing. All right, and they're like, "I know, I don't really have anything there, but this bra just puts everything in the right place." Like, I'm looking at Garza like, "Yo, it's in trunks like that. That stuff looks high and tight, high and tight."
I need to go where Otis gets his made so they don't fall off.
As long as you don't go where he gets his cut-off shirts, we're fine, Nick.
Oh, yeah.
Stop that.
Yeah.
Stop that.
Well, that's our show, guys. Thank you very much. Oh, no, wait! We can't get out of 200 without doing the other news lightning round. Beep, 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 beep.
All right, we'll start this off with something that was actually reported even in mainstream news. Simone Johnson, a.k.a. Pebble, a.k.a. The Rock's kid, Dwayne Johnson's daughter, has officially started training at the Performance Center. We've known that she wanted to be a wrestler for a while, but she's officially starting her training at the Performance Center as of this week. So keep your eyes. I think she's going to be in there for a while before she gets on anything. But they got plans for her. First ever fourth generation wrestler. My daughter of the biggest star in the world is now part of WWE's Performance Center. They've got plans for her.
If shit writes itself.
If she's even marginally talented, which supposedly she is, that could be a big deal.
She looks swole. And
have you
your
seen
dad
her mom?
has reinvented nutrition.
Have you seen her mom?
No.
Her mom has bigger shoulders than I ever have.
Wow.
I used to train, and her mother has shoulders that they're when you talk about shoulder boulders, these are shoulders. They're shoulders. Not even shoulders. They're shoulders. Dang. So keep your eye out for Simone Johnson. XFL, the punchline, everyone's punchline for 20 years. XFL has started up again. Vince McMahon's Football League had its first week. And Nick,
it did really well.
It did really well. And it was pretty good. Like, did you watch any of it?
A little bit. I caught highlights here and there, but I was pretty busy.
It's actually a fun game to watch. They keep things moving. They've got some little tweaks that, it's kind of like last time where they've got little tweaks that make it different from NFL. And a lot of them are really good. It feels like a more mature Vince McMahon is running this thing because he was so brash and such a dick of the last time he started up XFL.
He's not running it.
Pretty much. He's just putting his money into it, and he's got a whole bunch of other guys do it. It's still his baby. He's got a lot of input in it.
Owner, and then you've got the president and operations guy, Chuck something. I can't remember what his name is.
Vince still says, this is what I want in this, but he's definitely not
Sure. He's not
on
sitting
Twitter.
there with a headphone hot-shotting stuff or a
No.
headset, But I think the mistake was they tried to integrate wrestlers and they had The Rock come out and do promos and shit in the middle. It was a joke. This felt legit. Even more so than like all the arena football we've seen over the years and the attempts at doing an off-season football league. Like, there were some legit professional, like, backup quarterbacks that were in here showing out.
Right.
Like Taylor Heineke on Sunday night, former Panther. I said something, Marshall in the chat and I are both in North Carolina Panthers fans. I don't want to speak for Marshall. I think he's a Panthers fan, but if we look at how much talent has come in and out the door in Carolina while we've been addicted to Cam Newton in the last 10 years, like Taylor Heineke just went out there and showed out. That dude, just as an example, there's all kinds of talent that they've scooped up from the NFL to do all it. So, yeah, I love the 1-2-3 point system. I think that's fantastic. The strategy that you can make around all of that, just all kinds of penalizing you for doing strategic things to prevent the other team from actually doing a return. All that stuff
the
is
kickoffs
fantastic.
are great. Kickoffs are awesome.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm looking at the numbers here. They beat everything on network television and on cable. Both of Sunday's games, Fox and ESPN, beat everything except for Oscars coverage, which you can never beat. Oscars is always the top thing. Come on. But that's really good. On Saturday, the ABC show averaged a 0.8 in the 18 to 34, and Fox averaged a 0.9, which topped everything. They were number one Saturday. Fox show topped everything. ABC show was second. Yeah, so it came out top all day. Both days, it topped everything except for Oscars.
So is this every weekend we're going to have Saturday, Sunday football?
I believe so.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes up against the Daytona 500 in the middle of the day on Sunday.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I think they might try to avoid that. Right now, the standings are as follows: New York Guardians, St. Louis Battlehawks. What the hell are they called? St. Louis Battlehawks. I'll be damned. New York Guardians, St. Louis Battlehawks, and the DC Defenders and the Houston Roughnecks are all 1-0. The Tampa Bay Vipers, Randy's team, I suppose, the Seattle Dragons, the Dallas Renegades, and our LA Wildcats are all 0-1. So those are the standings so far for the XFL.
The Roughnecks, when I hear Houston, when the Roughnecks, all I hear is, Roughnecks, Roughnecks! Starship
Troopers, baby. Come on now. Come on, you apes. You want to live forever? Great movie.
You fight until you can't, or I'll kill you myself, or whatever the hell he says.
Michael Ironside.
Right.
Michael Ironside. Round of applause for Michael Ironside. Come on, man. So Brandy Rhodes says the Nightmare Collective is officially done. She initially came up with the idea because Awesome Kong, quote, wasn't feeling so hot. And they realized it wasn't working, which they weren't. And you know what? The fact that they officially were like, yeah, we saw it wasn't working. Someone came to me. Cody came to her and was like, hey, so yeah, no. And her apparently coming out last week to help Cody was her officially showing everyone that, yeah, Nightmare Collective's done. Kong and Mel are still apparently going to be a thing. Or sorry, Luther and Mel will still be a thing. We're waiting to hear how Kong is doing because apparently she's injured. But Nightmare Collective officially done. Yeah. OTT is teasing that Jan Moxley will be at Scrapper Mania 6 on St. Paddy's Day weekend. They put out a little video teasing Moxley's little, what would you call it, like hourglass symbol thing.
It's cool.
With the X.
Whoever came up with that. It's clever. It's like an M on top of a X with the O in the middle. It's clever.
Well, they teased that. So perhaps if you're in Ireland, you might be able to see Jan Moxley at Scrapper Mania. Hashtag cancel culture. If you watch Impact and you don't want to be spoiled, turn away now. Close your ears, sing the Flintstones song, because I got a little spoiler for you. Joey Ryan is now known as Joseph P. Ryan, and he and RVD are forming what can only be described as a ode to Right to Censor, which was a really fun faction around the year 1999-2000 in WWE. I believe they're called cancel culture at this point. That seems to be what they're calling each other. And they are going to be the equivalent of Right to Censor, coming in and ruining everyone's fun Everyone wants to do all these scandalous things. Perhaps this was inspired by RVD's recent shenanigans, which got them banned from Twitch.
Yeah.
But I love this. Joey Ryan apparently has retired the dick flip, at least in Impact.
No.
And, we'll refuse to do it from now on. So, yeah, say goodbye to the dick flip and Joey Ryan as we have always known him. He's coming out in a sweater now with like glasses on. It's great.
No.
Yeah.
Oh God, that sounds like the librarian gimmick.
The
That's
heeliest of heel turns. Come on, man. It's like the Good Father.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right.
New Japan Wrestle Dynasty is going to happen Saturday, August 21st at Madison Square Garden. And they're billing it as being on the level of Wrestle Kingdom. Where
have we heard that before?
Wow.
That's big or better than WrestleMania.
That's big words. Right now, they're speculating that Naito Okada rematch will take place as the headliner of that. However, keep in mind, you will not see Chris Jericho or Jon Moxley at this event because they can't wrestle for New Japan on American soil as per their contract. As of right now, Cody also said in that interview I mentioned earlier with Wrestling Observer that they were trying to make inroads into New Japan, maybe to not have a full-on working relationship, but to be able to trade off people and have people work in other places while under contract to each company. So, like, for instance, you could have Ibushi come over for a couple of shows for AEW and so forth without creating a full-on company crossover. So apparently the door is still open for business. Cody's words, not mine.
Keep the forbidden door ajar.
He laughed at that because he said, why is Jericho calling it a forbidden door when he's the one who's already over there doing it? He's already through the door. It's not forbidden. He's already crossed the door.
Him and Moxley.
Jericho. And, yeah, right. Tanahashi's just the one who's like, hey, could I go wrestle for someone else in America? It'd be really fun. Speaking of New Japan, their dojo in Auckland, New Zealand is starting up. If you live in New Zealand, you can go try out for New Japan on May 9th and 10th in Auckland and see if you can become a member, an inaugural member of their New Zealand dojo.
I believe we do have a small contingent of New Zealand listeners.
We do.
Shout
I know
out
we do.
to you guys.
We got one of them. One of them lives up the street from all of my cousins.
That's right.
Paraparumu.
That's right.
Yeah. So, which is awesome.
Go try out, guys.
Hey, look at my necklace. New Zealand represent.
There you go.
Are
you going to do a haiku now? A haka, I mean?
Haka. A haiku. Get out of here. Get out of here.
I'm so sorry.
It's
God. How. It's just how now. How
All right.
now.
Well,
oh, God, it's late.
200 episodes. Our last episode today. And no.
Yeah.
Nice
knowing you guys. Thanks for hanging around.
WWE has filed some new trademarks. They trademarked Christian and Texas Rattlesnake
How can
on
you
February
trademark
the
the
5th.
Word Christian?
In relation to a wrestler. Doesn't have to be just in general. Trademark.
Okay.
They're just doing it for merch sales, man. So a lot of people are like, thank God, it means Christian's coming back as an active wrestler. Maybe he might join up and he might come out in this Edge feud with Randy Orton. It wouldn't surprise me. But I think they're mostly doing it for merch.
Yeah.
Speaking of Steve Austin, Big Show is the next guest on the Broken Skull Sessions. That'll be on February 24th, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Big Show. That should be an interesting one. I'm curious to hear his tales. It has been leaked, at least some advertisement for the Elimination Chamber match has been leaked, and it shows Roman Reigns, Shinsuke Nakamura, Bobby Roode, Braun Strowman, Daniel Bryan, and Baron Corbin as being the entrants in the Elimination Chamber, with the winner facing The Fiend at WrestleMania. That is the official tagline of the whole advertisement. I would caution everyone that this is still, of course, subject to change. I suspect that most of that is correct. One or two tweaks might be made. Cough, cough, Bobby Roode, cough, cough. That being said, it does look like it's going to happen. Roman Reigns beating The Fiend at WrestleMania, or at least facing The Fiend at WrestleMania. I'm starting to have doubts he's going to beat him.
What about
Goldberg?
Am.
What about Goldberg?
I thought he was getting The Fiend.
He's getting The Fiend at Super Showdown.
Oh, I'm fired. Sorry.
You're fired. Hakas, Super Showdowns. What's with you, Nick? Are you still on London time?
Haikus.
Haku, Meng.
Oh, God. It has been a long 200 episodes.
You gonna do one of them New Zealand Mengs dances? Is that what you're gonna do? Dirk. Nick. Good grief. Finally, Drew McIntyre interview. Drew McIntyre in an interview said that when Jinder Mahal apparently has been getting some really good mental state going backstage. He says you're going to see a whole new Jinder when he comes back after his return from injury. So Drew McIntyre still propping up his 3MB buddy. Maybe we could get some love for Heath Slater at some point here, Drew. Just throwing it out there. The man's got kids.
We did Friday. He got slaughtered by Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, boy. Pfft. Good seeing that happen to him.
Wow.
That's the news, Nick.
Well, thank you, Sir Ian Dangerous. And thank you guys very much, especially the phenomenal ones hanging out in the chat with us live here on YouTube at youtube.com/bustedwideopen. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. We're on the precipice of 500 subscribers. Let's get that done this week. We only need a handful more. That'll be a great milestone, the halfway point to getting us to 1,000 subscribers. YouTube.com/bustedwideopen. It's really important to us, and it's a great way to support the show and help move us forward. So thank you for all of that. While you're there, click that little notification bell, choose all, so you get notified every time that we go live, so you don't miss it. You can come hang out in the chat with us every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern and every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern live right here on YouTube. And in case you're just listening to the audio in your car on the way to work, thank you for listening. But make sure that you also know that we have a YouTube channel. You can come watch us do this show live right here on video. Oh, my God. Also, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at BWO Podcast. Come join us in the Facebook discussion group. Just search for Busted Wide Open. Like our page. Send us a join request. We'll get you right in for fun memes and comedy, news stories, all kinds of good stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's where everybody hangs out. Plus, you get links to our Discord community where we have live chats going on. We keep the spoilers out of the group, but we do the live chats so that you can get in there and chat with everybody during the show. It's a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite things that happens all week, every week, is those live chats that go on every single show. Plus dedicated channels for every pay-per-views. We've got AEW Revolution coming up. TakeOver Portland happening this weekend. I got to add a channel for that while I'm thinking about it, so that we can have that. So make sure you're in there so we can chat with you during TakeOver Portland this weekend. Last but certainly not least, patrons. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for everything you do, every dollar you donate, every single week. Big shout out to Abraham Castillo for the $20 in the tip jar today. Thank you very much,
Thank you, sir.
If you guys would like to get in on some of those exclusives, patreon.com/BWO. You can get in for some of those cool rewards like show notes, the ability to ask listener questions on our patron mailbag episode that we do every Saturday immediately after the main show is done, usually about 5 p.m. Eastern, as well as bonus episodes, Skype calls with Nick and Sir Ian Dangerous, all kinds of good stuff. Patreon.com/BWO. But my name is Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at DataCenterDude.
This is a haiku. A haka is a Kiwi. Dance. Don't screw it up. My name is Sir Ian Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Sir Ian Dangerous.
But by God!
Would somebody stop the damn match?
This show is part of the Orbital Jigsaw Network. For more episodes, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. For details and show notes from each episode, check us out, orbitaljigsaw.com.